There is some place you are grounded and it's connected with the earth. Because the earth was here before we are. We are created, we are scooped up and breathed into. And that's where we go back to when we're feeling lost. Right. And when we do that, then we can't go wrong.
You talk, oh, those who are to the earth. I mean, your body needs iron, it needs zinc, it needs copper, so therefore we always attached here. Without those things, we can never survive, just like the strength of the earth.
That's right.
And yet too often we think we can. We think we don't need that. That's old school. Going for, but how many times when you need refreshment do you go back to the land? You take a walk. You go
drink
to the
water.
Shore. Yeah, drink water. You go, your place to get away might be to the park. It might be just on a bench under a tree. It might be standing out in the rain, but it's getting back getting out to the earth.
Absolutely.
Fact, something in the park, you're supposed to take off your shoes and walk barefoot. And
there is a scientific proof that walking barefoot on the ground, not the asphalt, but on ground, yes, will reset your whole being, your health and everything.
Yes. I've experienced that because even on days where it feels like there's a lot going on, and you're like, why don't I feel right? First thing I do is go outside. I round up everybody. Put your shoes on. Bathroom break. We're going outside. We sit in the sun. We play, and always feel better. We always feel better. And everything in the ground is connected.
Yes.
Truth and I, we did a lesson about mushrooms and the interconnectedness underground of mushrooms. And even just roots when we're walking, we always, of course, children, they notice everything on the ground. Everything. and they're the ones that are closest to the ground. They're always interacting with things on the ground, especially roots, sticks. I don't know why children love sticks. Picking up sticks. Put the sticks down. That's me every day. But maybe there's something to that. Maybe I need to pick up sticks more. But the interconnectedness.
Well, look at the process of pollination.
Yes.
You cannot get fruit unless something from another place that doesn't look like you, that isn't like you, didn't grow like you, comes into your space.
Yep.
And the two come together. That is the only way that fruit can be grown. You've got to, that cross-pollination is key in nature. So why can't we share what we have here? Why do we feel like I have to hold to my own little self?
Right.
Because that's the only way we're going to grow and grow fruit that gives life to other people.
That is absolutely right.
So that's what's in there.
I love that. we're gonna start officially. So I'm gonna talk us in. So Ray, you can use that. So he's rolling, but we're just gonna talk because these are the best conversations, like the ones that we're having. Okay.
My father raised me to be a storyteller.
Really?
Yeah. My father would tell me stories when I was very little, and he would tell me stories at night, to the point that when I started going to school, he would go to my church school class and even my first grade class and tell stories. Oh. And he would make up these characters. And there was always some lesson that came from it, but he never gave a clear description of the main character. So he might have talked about a dog, but he never told you the color, he never told you the size, because it was important that it become what you needed it to be.
About that.
And he would tell you the story. And I have people, who I grew up with, who remember these stories from 50 years ago and still remember his stories.
That your father said? That your father came up with?
Yep.
I like that because even sometimes when I'm telling stories, I give a lot of illustration because I want them to see. But I like that idea instead. Don't say too much so that it can be, because it'll be something different to each child.
Yes. Yeah.
Every child will see something different.
Yeah. And that's important for them to see what they need to see.
Absolutely. I love that. Would you say, let me introduce us, because Ray's going to be watching this footage. You didn't do the first part. All right. Hello, everybody. We are here at the one and only Source of Knowledge Bookstore in Newark, New Jersey. Kyla from Hidden Gems Literary Emporium here, your nonprofit bookstore, with Miss Rebecca Collison. Came to, I was going to say little Jersey, but I've been here all my life. So I'm going to say big, great, wonderful New Jersey, all the way from Delaware, which I do love Delaware too. You guys have great scenery, and it's not too populated with people. My mom lives in Delaware.
Where does she live in Delaware?
Fair.
Okay, that doesn't qualify.
That's
No.
not where you live, right?
I live in the southern part, the southeastern part, which means we still have some farmland, but I just went down to the beach this weekend, which is 2 miles from my church, and we were like sardines. So when you say there's a lot of space, there's a lot of people down at the beach at this time of year.
Yes, I'm sure. The second thing I was going to say about Delaware is the beaches.
Yes, and we live down near the beach. So.
Yes, very good. So we're here with Rebecca Collison, the author of 2 books, Groundwork and Fieldwork. We're very excited because tomorrow you'll be at our event.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say too much about the event. It's going to be very cute and fun. I'm a gifts person. I love giving gifts. And so I'm really excited for this event tomorrow. Come on, Drew. Come on, Drew. A Growing Glow tomorrow at Cool Stuff Creative Gallery at 3 o'clock. So we're here. Which book came first? That's the first thing.
Technically, this did.
Okay.
And let me explain why. This came out of, I started with writing a book when I did my Doctor of Ministry work.
Okay.
Because my research was in the area of how to grow up small churches. A lot of times, small churches, they're out in the country, they're 25 people, 50 people, and they don't think they have anything to offer. But they're the ones closest to the land. And so that's what got me started on looking at the land to tell us where to go and how to grow. So out of that, I did research, which was in a book called Preparing Fields for Seasons of Change that came out right when the pandemic hit. So
that was that.
So that was it.
Yeah.
So I came out with Groundwork because this was a teaching thing that I used at my church. I used the parables. I preached sermons based on these topics of the parables and how they relate to the land and how that then connects us with the culture that we live in the times we live in, with the social issues we live in. And after I taught that and preached that, I went back and revisited this, updated it, and it became Fieldwork. So this one has a rooting back in my college when I was doing my doctoral work, but this came out and then this followed.
What would you say are some of the main differences?
This one comes heavily from a storytelling standpoint, and then I unpack a story of my own that I've lived or someone I know has lived, and then connect it with something that's going on within our culture. Like in one area, talking about disabilities, because I have 2 sons with disabilities. One is deaf, and for him, society, it's a lot different to navigate what's going on in community than for me. Also, a son who really faced severe socioeconomic challenges, where people were constantly judging. Based, you go through the grocery line and you have your EBT or your food stamp card, and people are judging. Well, I don't think they ought to be buying that. And how that is referenced through these parables. About mercy, about how we tend to push people off to the side, how there are seasons in our life. Each one of these are unpacked through the parables. And so I taught and preached on that. And when I got done with that, people were asking, well, where's the research that kind of backs all this up? And I'm like, that's why I revisited Fieldwork that kind of unpacks different theologians like Howard Thurman, like different folks who through the years have used practical understanding of the land to teach us. For example, he shared about a story that was told about George Washington Carver, and God gave him an abundance of peanuts, and he's like, what do I do with all this? I got more than I can use. And he was walking in the field on the land one day when it came to him all these different uses, that nothing is ever wasted. And too often we see things as being wasted. We see people as being wasted in society. And so we need to get back to the land to understand the importance. When you talk about God's economy, God has a use for and a place for every person, because God sees a much bigger picture than we do. We are too often with blinders on to what we know and what feels comfortable to us. And so we have to look beyond that.
No, and on the table of contents, there were 3 chapters that stood out to me. One was it all starts with soil,
Yes.
parable of the sower. That stood out to me because we have a keynote presentation called Sowing the Seeds.
Okay.
Then, what's the other one? Oh, fig tree. Our last name is Figueroa.
Okay.
So, the scripture talks about figs all the
Yep.
time. So that stood out to me as well. And then seedlings, because that made me think about children.
Yeah.
Can we talk about seedlings? Can you tell us a little bit about the conclusion?
The conclusion piece of it.
Yeah.
So in seedlings, it's kind of trying to bring everything back around, and that we need these spiritual pollinators in our life.
Yep.
That we need those things that are other than ourselves to bring the fruit of the kingdom, to bring the fruit that feeds others and gives life.
Right.
And it re-emphasizes, kind of going back to the talking about the soil, because first came the dirt, and dirt and soil are not the same thing.
Talk about that.
Okay. Dirt is basically homeless pieces of rock. Soil, on the other hand, has a history. It has layers of things that are living. It has layers of things that have died. And that all makes life possible. What was before and what is now makes our life possible. And you have to have soil in order for something to grow. It won't grow in the dirt. We were dirt until we were breathed into and given life. A layer of life put upon us, and then we could bring about life. So if you start with that understanding of soil, we have a type of soil in our souls, and we have to put life upon that. Our experiences from the past, but the experiences we go through now, all of that goes into being in community with everyone around us, because we share this earth together. And with the parable of the sower, the sower is seeding the ground with the gospel. That's Luke explains that's what the seeds are. But it falls on 4 different types of ground. And a lot of times we like to look at it like, oh, I have good ground in my soul.
Right.
Or that person doesn't. They've got that dry, it's parched ground.
Right.
But the truth of it is, at some point in our lives, we have some of all 4. There are times we have rocks on our land of our soul. We have barriers, those pebbles in our shoe, or a rock big enough we can't get around it.
Yeah.
We have thorns, things that have hurt us that can choke life out of what we want to offer. And then also sometimes we get under heated situations, and it just doesn't allow, we get parched. And we don't get the water we need. We don't get the refreshment we need. We don't get the rest we need. And when we don't get those, we're not ourselves.
Right.
And so it can land at any of those in any time in our life. But thankfully, God broadcasts the seed liberally to all of them. Then just take a couple holes and put a couple seeds in them. Everybody has free access. Everybody has access to this faith. So that's the importance of that parable of the sower. No matter where our hearts are, God is still pouring out on us. And so that's why I like to bring that one up.
Grounds and fields. One of the things that I was actually reading about this the other day. It was talking about farmers and how much, of course, we all know that you need farmers, but how much pressure they're under now. And when I think about the land, the parables of the book, farmers, but we're all
in a way, yes, we're all farmers of our own land, spiritually and physically.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about New Jersey, the hustle and bustle apartment buildings, in New Jersey, it's a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are organizations and ways that we can cultivate our own gardens
Mm-hmm.
in our small areas where we are. And so yeah, I love this. I love this theme because it's even the theme of my own household, cultivating each other as a community.
Well, and cultivating, it's turning over. When you cultivate, you pick something up and you turn it over. There's a section at the end of each chapter that talks about a cruciform cultivation. And basically what that is you dig down until you hit something that's an obstacle. And then you bring it up and you offer it. You recognize that it's in the way of your roots going deeper. So then you offer it up, and then you go and through compassion and mercy and justice, when you serve and you give of yourself, then you lose some of yourself. You die to self, which is good. We have to die to self. And you give of yourself, and then of what you give away, what are you going to plant in that new space?
Right.
And the hope would be that you would have a new growth of a new understanding, of a new way of thinking, of, oh, I didn't understand your perception was that way. Oh, I always saw it this way. I thank you for broadening my view because I didn't know.
Right.
So at the end of each chapter, I try to encourage people to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so for people who are interested, what's next? What's the next part? Or we were talking about how with my children, they're all named in a story type of way. Like first the truth comes, and then what happens? You get wiser, wisdom. And then once you know the truth and you have wisdom, then you have greater faith in this world, right? But I feel the same way about your books. Like first the groundwork, and then the field work.
And the field work looks a lot at seasons. And oftentimes we have a favorite season.
Yes. What's yours?
I like summer.
I like spring.
But everybody has a reason.
That's true.
And the thing is, if you look through, and of course, a lot of mine is grounded theologically, but every season does have a purpose.
Yeah.
It has a pro and a con.
Okay.
There are challenges and there are celebrations. And so it looks through all the different seasons, like the fallow season. And there's nothing in the field, but there's life happening underground that you don't see yet. Then the spring comes. You're putting a seed in the ground and you don't see it right away. And if you try to dig it up too soon, you're going to kill it.
That's true.
But you're having to dig into the dirt and get your hands dirty to get it there. Well, and then in the summer, oh, this is the season I like because things are growing. Well, when things are growing is when the bugs show up.
That's true.
And when the other things come that want to take the life away. And then you come to harvest, and a lot of people think the end of their life is the harvest time. But it's really not, because it's taking what you've grown, but that means you're starting all over again too.
Yeah.
You're taking it down to the ground and you're making it available. This season is done, and now let's have a new start.
Right.
And that's what fieldwork kind of looks at, the unpacking of those seasons. And so the next book that's just coming out is Breakfast at Rudy's.
Yeah.
Moving from grief to grace. And that's about a particular season in my life. It was a season when my mother died very suddenly. And I struggled with that. And then now all of a sudden I have to take care of my dad. And I still have a full-time job. And I still have, all this going on. And I would take my days off. And he and I would have lunch at a place called Rudy's. It's a restaurant called Rudy's. And through those breakfasts, we got to connect in a way that we never had earlier and help each other with our grief. And he showed me how to move into that season of grace. He showed me how, and I don't think he realized it, but he began painting again. There was a point, he and my mom been married over 60 years. And that was his life. And when I had to call him and tell him he had to come and see her because we were at the hospital and she had died. Because she died on the way to the hospital.
Oh my goodness.
In my car.
Oh my goodness.
So I told him, and it's like, you can't wrap your head around it. And he just like sobbed. And it was like, for probably a good month, it was like, if he died tomorrow, he wouldn't care.
Wow.
But he came back around, and watching him do that. And then when he died, it was a short time frame in general. It was about a month, where his health declined. But I'm like, now what do I do? The two strongest people in my life that I knew, what do I do now? And so it was moving from that and getting to a place of healing, because I had lost a lot of other things also in life. I'd had to leave churches that I loved to go to the new place that our bishop or denomination sent us, and I'd have to say goodbye to friends. And it's like all the loss you have, how do you get past that to a place of healing and health again? And this book actually is comprised of these letters I wrote to God, and they're like putting it out there for God.
Wow.
It's like, I'm no holds barred. Look, I don't feel good about this. This is not a nice, soft little thing for you. This is pouring my heart out. And it's a heartfelt sharing.
Right.
So that has come out now.
Oh, right.
It is available just like recently. Yeah, I don't have the book here today, but we do have it just recently.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it just has recently been released.
Very exciting.
So
very exciting. But I thought of another question.
Hey, you doing?
Two things about Breakfast with Rudy. One is, it's a very selfless thing that you did, to put everything on paper like that and share it with so many people, because more people than not, I would say many people, experience grief in many different ways. You talked about losing your parents, but also losing other things, other relationships, or things. There's people now that are losing their homes, their jobs, they're losing things, and that's a form of grief, right? And I think that's everyone's, or a lot of people's question: how do I get from here today? How do I turn over the soil in my life? Where right now, like you said in one of your letters, you're like, this sucks.
yeah, basically. But it's a season. If we don't go through it, we won't grow through it.
What I want to say, okay, and that is a segue into what the second thing I was going to say, which was, you never know when we take that act of courage, or when we're just obedient, right? When it's like, write this down and share it with people. You're like, why? This is so,
it's like me. Yeah, because I'm like, why would anybody read anything I wrote? But
you were obedient.
But I put it out there, and I'm like, who's going to want to read this? And and
here you are.
It's been amazing to me, the people who have read it and said, I just picked this up, and I just kept reading, and I was like, and that's the thing. I like to make it accessible, as far as something that relates.
Right.
I don't want to just put these theories out there or anything. I just, this is my experience, and the way I do that is by telling a story.
Absolutely. And you never know when you put pollination, right? And it goes far and wide.
Yep.
So you're from Delaware. You wrote this book. We're in New Jersey, and your book is here.
Yeah.
And it's at our event. Tomorrow. It's called Grow and Glow. But inspiration from your books, right? And now that's actually going to be a monthly event, Grow and Glow. And the response has been so great. But and it's all surrounded of themes of, like you said, how do we cultivate ourselves with art and with books and with stories and with just doing things together? So tomorrow our activity is origami.
Oh, nice.
But I'm very excited. It was very hard for me not to reveal that what the art activity was. But origami, something simple that we're gonna make with our hands, and it's gonna be cool. And it might last the day. It might not. Like my sons and my daughters probably won't last, but it'll be fun, and we'll be able to. We have gifts for everybody, free books, and then your book will be there. Of course, people will be able to get it signed. But I just want to thank you, and I say this to all authors: you are so courageous and selfless. That's really the word. Because when you write and when you publish a book, it's not for you, really.
Right.
when you take it all the way this far to where people can buy it, it's for someone else.
Yeah.
A journal is one thing, but when you publish a book, it's for anyone in the world to see it
Yeah.
and to read from. So I want to thank you.